Well, Alex, I think I read once where you wanted to stack a year together and you finally stacked a year together. That must have been a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it was. It's good to look back, and I think it was played 21 games last year with sort of no major injuries. So it was for a couple of years. That's sort of what I was dreaming of, just playing some consistent footy. So it was definitely nice to string a few together.
Did you reflect a bit about that in your off season, like to actually finally get done? I know you've got a long way to go and you've got to keep your head down a bit, but
yeah,
it was obviously something great to tick off for you.
Yeah, probably at times. It's probably something I should look back on a bit more fondly. I guess once that finishes, I'll move on to the next thing, and that's to stack another season of good footy and help lead this team to some success. And that's, it was probably a reminder to sort of reflect a little bit and actually look back on that, the positive year that it was. But I guess me personally, I like to move on quickly and focus on that next thing and that next goal.
It's a bit relentless, so there's no point stopping.
Yeah, that's it.
What about your off-season? Tell us a little bit about it. And you obviously travelled overseas a bit of that. Can you take us through a bit of it?
Yeah. So I enjoyed travelling during my off-season, and this one I had the extra couple of weeks being a bit older, so I made good use of it. Spent a month in Europe, travelling in a few places, Spain, Croatia, Germany, a couple other places, then came back here for a little bit, then jetted off to South America with a few boys, did Chile, Brazil, Argentina, Bolivia and Colombia. So that was a good experience, something a bit different that I hadn't done, and then finished off in Kentucky, catching up with ex-teammate Max Duffy and watching him in his punting career at University of Kentucky. So it was a very sort of long off season. I did plenty in it, but I had a lot of fun and I really enjoyed that, just getting away a little bit and just seeing the world, experiencing some different things.
And so was that first part by yourself?
No, first part was with Matt Taberner and Griffin Logue,
yep.
And then so that was Europe, and then South America was with Tabs again, with Matt DeBoer and Cam Sutcliffe.
Yeah, right. And I imagine in some degree it was quite surreal watching Max doing what he's doing, given that your teammates here.
Yeah, it is. I've been lucky enough to catch a few college games before I went over there, so I sort of knew the atmosphere and what it was like. But it was a bit different watching Max himself and all eyes on him at certain points, and I was quite nervous in the stands actually for him. But it's an incredible opportunity that he's got at the moment, and the way that he's sort of looked after and what he's sort of made of his life after football for now. It's great for him.
So you got to look through the eyes of a fan for a change.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd been interesting. Yeah. What was the most compelling part of the journey before that, like the other two parts? What was the most compelling that sort of sits with you and gave you a great life experience?
There's probably a few different places in South America. Bolivia was a really sort of eye-opening experience, I guess. It's a bit of a poorer country, and seeing sort of how those people live and their day-to-day life, everyone having to work and just do something to get by. They're not lucky enough to have sort of the structure that we've got for our society. Everyone has to work and everyone has to do something, and it's I don't know, just seeing their different culture and experiencing a bit of that. I just like to. It gets a bit of a perspective, I guess, when I come back to Australia, how lucky we are and how you can take things for granted sometimes. So it definitely puts things in perspective and helps me get a better grasp on life and what I want to achieve and how lucky I am.
So you want to seek perspective a little bit, and because obviously you can be in a fair bubble, particularly over here in Perth. But is that something you seek out? Yeah,
well, I guess you mentioned the bubble. It is, the football bubble is quite intense and it's quite insular. There's not too many sort of other people that get to sort of know what goes on, and I do look for opportunities to, I guess, improve myself as a person and look outside and get these other influences, because you can get stuck in it in a year or two where you're just doing the same thing over and over again. So I guess it's part of what I want to do is keep being a better person and being a better footballer and all that kind of thing. And part of that is experiencing these different things with people I enjoy spending time with.
What are you weighing in at now? You've done a bit of work, I read a few weeks back.
Yeah, so I'm nearly 100 kilos at the moment.
Ready to take on the monsters.
Yeah, well, we'll see, hopefully. Yeah, so I've come a long way since when I first got drafted, but I feel like I'm 86, I think. So, I'm still not sure how much I've got to go with the weight and what my actual ideal body shape is. That's another thing, and I'm still just sort of playing it by ear and seeing how it goes over the next year or two, and trying to find that optimal sort of weight to be the best athlete I can be.
I was going to ask you that, because your speed's obviously an asset.
Yeah.
How do you monitor the balance? That must be a difficult thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because you never know. You just have to sort of wait and see and put on a bit of weight, get stronger, see how that affects my long distance running, my speed, my agility, and it's just a constant check in and just sort of see how everything is. And obviously, well, not obviously, but putting on weight increases the risk of a few injuries, which I've had early on in my career. So it's just a constant sort of check in and working with my strength coaches and all that to try and be the best athlete I can be, to be the best footballer I can be.
So it hasn't affected your pace now that you've had a good season behind you and you're putting on small weight during this pre-season. It hasn't affected your numbers in terms of the running and the speed?
No, I don't think so. No, I think putting on a bit more size, more strength through my core and my legs, and that will actually help with a bit of speed and a bit of repeat speed. But it's just obviously more weight carrying it around. It takes a bit of a toll on your body when you're running, and it makes things a little bit harder. So it's just being able to continually run out games and all that kind of thing. We don't get too much of a spell as a key defender, so you've got to be able to make sure you can keep running at the end of games.
Have you done much against the new recruits yet during the pre-season?
Yeah, well, obviously a lot of our recruits are forward, so I get to play them a bit. I played on Jesse quite a lot, and Rory, and yeah, it's been good fun to be able to play on some different guys and guys that are elite players and sort of bring different things to the table. So it's good to be able to work on my game in different sort of areas.
It helped you test out the bulk too, I suppose?
Yeah, they're both very strong boys. Jesse's very strong and explosive, and obviously Rory's such a tall man. You have to play on everyone a little bit differently, so it's good to be able to have those different types during training that I can sort of try and fine tune my game a little bit. Because when I go against different opponents each week, I'm sort of constantly looking what their strengths and weaknesses are and how I have to change my game just slightly to get the edge on them.
And the league always throws different things at you too. It can throw Jesse Hogan or Rory Lobb, who are quite different, even though they're both strong. But throws a lot of different stuff at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even you've played against some small ones at times too.
Yeah. I guess that's I like to. Well, Joel and myself like to sort of say we can play on smalls and talls. So it's the way football is these days. You have to be able to sort of do a bit of everything.
How did you first get in touch with Youth Focus, Alex? How did that come about?
Yeah, so I think it was at Rosie at the club was sort of mentioned to the players that we were sort of getting some new charities on board and looking to who we wanted to partner with, and I sort of went to her and said I'd like to work in the sort of mental health awareness sort of area, and said it was something I was reasonably passionate about. So she sort of knew of Youth Focus and knew they were a really good organisation, so I got that sort of connection started, and then from there myself and Ed met with them and sort of got on really well with the people at Youth Focus. They're really, people running it are really organised and just really great people, so we got on really well, and from then on we've tried to sort of help out when we can and partner up with different programs that they're running, and it's been a great experience.
I'll ask you a little bit about your personal experience, obviously through your injuries, and that you would have felt some stresses of the football life, but you said in an article when you first took it on that you'd had some friends and family. Can you take us generically through what you've experienced in that regard? Yeah,
so that was probably before I went through my sort of struggles. I had a pretty close family member that was going through some things, and then a friend as well that sort of reached out to me. So you always hear about mental health a lot these days, but it's when it's someone close to you, which chances are there is someone close to you who's affected by it, that it starts to hit home a little bit and you start to take a little bit more notice and it starts to become a bit more real. So that's sort of part of it. And then after that, I had my sort of couple of years out with injury, and sort of the first year dealt with it pretty well, and then the second year started to struggle a bit and go through some sort of down times and some really sort of strong doubts in my mind about whether I'd play football again. And at that stage, football was my identity and that's all I wanted to do. And then to start to think about that being taken away from me, I sort of really struggled with it, and it took me a long time to be able to move on from that. And it's still something that now sort of I'm working towards, being sort of having a positive mental health all the time. It's not something that you just get to and you're happy and then that's it, you're just good. There's a constant spectrum, and life throws many different challenges at you, and being an AFL footballer, although it's a great life and it's one of the best jobs in the world, it still throws a lot of challenges, a lot of them quite unique at you, especially moving away from home and not being close to friends and family. So it's something I'm constantly aware of, and being able to work with other people and I guess share my story a little bit and help others really sort of helps myself really, like I said, gain a bit of perspective and sort of learn the ways to, I guess, really stay mentally happy myself.
Having had that experience with your family member and your friend, do you think that helped a little bit too to make you understand that you did need to reach out and do something about it too?
Yeah, I think so. I think being on the to start with, being on the other side looking in, it's still a sort of an awkward conversation to have. So I guess being on both sides of it now, I see sort of just how important such a simple conversation can be, and a lot of times it's not even really opening up and coming out. It's just having that conversation, having that really genuine connection with people, and that's sort of the challenge, I guess, in this environment is you make really good friends, and then after a year or two they can leave, go to other clubs, and then you start to your close connections and your close support network changes all the time. So that's the challenge, and that's the key, I think, to sort of staying positive and staying happy.
Well, you have gone through a reasonably unique situation too with your two broken legs. Not everyone goes through those, so you must be pretty proud of the way you have come through it mentally and to put that season together, as we said earlier.
Yeah, it's good. I often think back to those times and those questions I had about myself, and it's definitely a driving factor now that I've got the opportunity myself, and it's in my hands really, my career at the moment. And at one stage I didn't think it was going to be in my hands. I thought it might get taken away from me. So to be able to have that chance every day to sort of turn up to work and train and do my thing and keep working hard and keep making that choice to do what I want to do. I've definitely appreciated it more now that I thought that it might not happen.
So do you proactively, now that you've had those experiences, reach out to some of your teammates when you know they're struggling? Like if say Harley for example, and Lord knows only what he's going through with this constant breakdowns, but
yeah,
do you reach out to someone like Harley and use your experience now?
Yeah, there's certain guys, especially that you reach out to. There's a lot of time you don't see the amount of what people go through in here, whether it's small injuries or big injuries or guys going through selection concerns and things like that. And it's always it's definitely a reminder from what I've been through that you need someone there to know that they sort of care a little bit and they're interested in how you're going, and that's sometimes as little as that is all it takes to sort of help get someone back on board. Is
the change room better at it nowadays than when you first started, do you think? And I think it's an improving area all the time, but it's still a long way to go, obviously.
Yeah, I found for the last year or two we've had a big focus on getting a bit more connected as a playing group, spending a little bit more time together outside of football and connecting a little bit more. And I think that definitely helps when you can build strong relationships outside of football with people. It makes all these things a little bit easier, and to know that you've got 40 guys behind you all the time and in this journey with you, it definitely makes things a lot easier when you're in your separate groups and you don't really have too much to do with everyone. You're never going to be great friends with everyone, but if you've got we all sort of share a common goal and we're all on the same journey together, so it definitely helps.
Now I've noticed you're on the notable page of, is it Ulverston or Ulverston?
Ulverston.
David Neitz, Ben Hilfenhaus, Richard Fromberg, the tennis player, and even former Prime Minister and Joseph Lyons. So there's a few notables from your little town.
There's a couple of notables there. Ben Hilfenhaus, the recent one. My dad actually played cricket with Ben Hilfenhaus, so I've met him a few times.
How? Just tell us a bit about what was life growing up there like. What sort of place was it? I know it's one of Tasmania's biggest cities, but
I spent my whole life there until I moved over here, living in Ulverston, and went to school all the way through. It was life for me was cricket in the summer, football in the winter, school with my mates. I really loved it, and I still have a great connection with sort of Ulverston, the community, my football club, my cricket club, or ex-football and cricket club. I still see them as my home clubs when I go back, and that's I guess that's my friends and that I still have. I still really try and keep a close connection with them because I've shared so much of my life with them, and getting back home is really important to me, and spending time with my friends and family, and a lot of things I do when I go back and help out with sort of the footy training and see the kids. It's sort of really special to me because growing up there wasn't that football role model from Ulverston, so I do really enjoy going back there, and I've definitely got plans to keep doing that and keep trying to, I guess, inspire the community in some way to keep sort of reaching out and do whatever you want to do in life, and not get caught up in sort of staying in Ulverston your whole life, or not reaching for what you can truly do.
It can happen in a little town like that, but I imagine it's quite grounding for you too.
Yeah, definitely.
Your mates just do your mates, they don't.
Absolutely, absolutely. You don't get treated exactly the same when I go back, which is what I love, and which is why, to still catch up with my mates so much when I go back, and my friends and family. It's always the same. which is great.
And what's your Indigenous background?
Yeah, so it's through my father's side of the family. It's still
Dad's
something.
name?
Dad's Scott.
Scott.
Yeah, so still sort of learning a bit about that as I go on. It's something I'm sort of interested in, but I've always been sort of proud of my Indigenous heritage. And in Tasmania, the history is probably not as strong because of sort of the I guess the massacres that happened way back when, that a lot of the Indigenous population in Tasmania was wiped out. So I'm sort of proud to say that I'm a Palawa Indigenous man, and it's, although I still don't know a lot about my heritage, to be able to sort of keep that alive and not forget about it, I think is really important, and it's definitely something I want to keep sort of learning about as I go
Yeah, it's
on.
nice to hear. It's probably going to be more important if you do find more about it. For your people. As Palawa, did you say?
Palawa, yeah. Palawa.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Do you have a thought on a footy team in Tasmania one day? I know that North Melbourne and Hawthorn are over there, but do you have a thought of whether it's time?
I definitely think in the near to medium future, I think it can happen. I think it should happen. To be honest, some of the teams we've had over the last few years that have come in have been mildly successful. I think that Tasmania, being a football state and a really passionate football state, sort of deserves an opportunity to get behind a team, get behind Tasmania's team. Hawthorn and North Melbourne, like Hawthorn in particular, they were sort of based in Tassie when I was there, so I would sort of experience a bit of that. But to be able to have a team based in Tassie for Tasmanians would be fantastic. It's something that I would definitely get behind. Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing that'll drag you away from the Dockers, is it?
I will say it might be a bit too late for me by then.
You never know. Now, you've seen off two other Pearces now. Clancy and Daniel are both gone. You've got sole ownership of the
The
position.
last one standing, I was third in line for a while, but finally got to the number one Pearce.
I suppose it tells you a little bit about how footy clubs move too, isn't it? There was three of you here and now there's one.
Yeah. Oh, you look around the club. When I first got here, there's only a handful left, really still here. So it's an ever-changing landscape, and that's what it makes it sort of tough at times, but it's what makes it exciting as well, to be able to get these new players in and new people in to reinvigorate things.
There's always something fresh, isn't there? Like, it's always something at a footy club. No matter how long you've been there, there's always something fresh.
Yeah. Oh, there's always a new character that will come in and offer a fair bit to the change room. So it's good.
Now, you haven't played a final yet, Alex. I imagine that's really biting at you.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said before, getting through last year was really great, and it helped me sort of tick off a big goal to sort of play a year of consistent football. But now my focus has turned. I guess being in leadership as well, I really want to help take ownership and help sort of drive this club towards success and get back to sort of where we were when I first got to the club, as playing consistent finals football and being a really sort of feared opposition. And I think we're on the way to that, and we're I guess only time will tell over the next few months and the next year or two, but I think we are building a really good team, a really strong united team together, and hopefully that we can just stick together and have a few good years coming up.
You just reminded me one back. I was going to ask you back on the mental health stuff. What it meant to you after sort of missing so much footy, 20 months or whatever it was, and then still your peers had you in the leadership group. I imagine that gave you a great boost at a time when you probably needed it pretty strongly. Yeah,
it was pretty good. I set lots of little goals during that sort of rehab phase and when things changed. And one of my goals was to be a leader and to be in a leadership group. It's something that from when I first walked in the club, I had such great leaders around me and really respected them so highly. And it was something I wanted to do. So I guess I tried to take every opportunity I could to still have an impact on the group. And to be able to get voted in, it was quite a special moment back then. It's something I still don't take for granted. So it was very nice.
And last one, how was the impact on you watching West Coast win the grand final last year, especially given you haven't had a win against them yet?
No, I can't tell you I was barracking for them by any stretch, but it's another bit of motivation that sort of that helps sort of drive that off season. When you see the crosstown rivals win the flag, it burns a little fire inside you that just makes you want to get that little bit more.
Time to tick that box of beating them too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.